the show that brings you your weekly news recap as well as the review of today's Friday Bulletin. Before we get into it, first we want to give you the headlines.
Hapo walioathirika ni wenyeji wa Kibra. Kama kuna mayatima watapatikana hapa, kama ni wajane watapatikana hapa.
Stop the arson madness. Muslim religious leaders condemned the arson attack on the mosque and church in Kibra following the Monday protest.
We don't want to be hearing kwamba skuli fulani imefungwa kwa ajili ya kukosa wanafunzi. Hakuna sababu tena. Ikiwa ni chakula tutapeana. Ikiwa ni fees will pay.
College entry grades. Governor Jamia calls for the college entry grade and teaching colleges lowered for marginalized areas.
Mimi wa kusilimu, nashukuru sana sababu ya kupata iftari. I'm a single mother.
Iftar for the needy. Jamia Mosque Nairobi distributes dry iftar targeting over 1,000 families during Ramadan.
Thank you for staying with us here on Horizon TV. My sign language interpreter is Ilhan Noor. Now, on our top story, in the wake of the recent incidents of violence that occurred in Kibra on Monday night, religious leaders from different faiths have come together to call for peace and calm in the country. The incidents in question involved the burning of a mosque and a church following demonstrations called by the opposition leader, which resulted in property damage, one person being killed and several others injured. The religious leaders, led by the Supreme Council of Kenyan Muslims National Chairperson Hassan Olenado and Jamia Mosque Nairobi's Imam Sheikh Jamaluddin Osman, the leaders expressed their deep concerns of the incidents and emphasized the need for all the members of the community to respect each other and their religious differences and to refrain from acts of violence or destruction.
Jipambeni na sifa ya subra na musiwe ni wenye kukubali kutumiwa.
In a joint statement released to the press, the religious leaders urged the government to take all necessary steps to ensure the safety and security of all citizens.
Hawa wakazi wa Kibera hawajafanya makosa yoyote. Walikuwa na haki ya kulindwa na polisi. Walikuwa na haki msikiti na kanisa kulindwa na polisi. Kwa hivyo tunaomba polisi wetu, you must be neutral.
The events of last night for us to travel back in time to the sad memories of brother against brother, Kenyan against Kenya in the aftermath of the 2007-2008 post-election confrontations that metamorphosed into dark days of violence, killings, destruction of property and displacement of persons in their thousands. The stain of that time remains our national shame to date.
Speaking during the visit to Kibera's Masjid Aqsa and the PCHI that was burned on Monday night, Jamia Mosque Nairobi Imam Sheikh Jamaluddin Osman said the violence and destruction are not answer to any problems and urged all members of the communities living in Kibra to work together in the spirit of unity.
Hapo walioathirika ni wenyeji wa Kibra. Kama kuna mayatima watapatikana hapa, kama ni wajane watapatikana hapa, kama mali kuharibika itapatikana hapa, na hao ambao waliowasha moto huu hawako hapa na nyinyi, bali watoto wao huenda hata hawako Kenya kama wanasoma kwingine. Kwa hivyo msiangukie katika mitego ya watu wengine, kuweni na akili na mnapochokozwa kuweni na subra na mufuate nidhamu.
Hatutakubali kwamba tuwe tunazozana kwa ajili yenu. Na nyinyi hamlali njaa, nyinyi mwaishi vizuri, lakini mnafanya tuzozane bure. Kwa hivyo tunawaambia viongozi wetu, I think time is coming as religious leaders when we shall confront you
and tell you are not going to put Kenyans anymore into problems.
Amnesty International Kenya Executive Director Irungi Hutton called on the leaders to work together and emphasize the importance of dialogue and peaceful coexistence among all religious groups.
Is it too much to ask the Muslims to cross that river and help Christians rebuild their church? Can we ask the Christians to cross that river and rebuild the mosque? And if you do that, the human rights organizations, I pledge, we will come personally to help you rebuild your places of worship and to restore dignity and the right to worship for this area.
The youth in the country have been urged to impress the values of compassion, respect, and understanding that will help build the country.
Christians and Muslims have never been enemies. We live in the same neighborhoods, our children play together, and some attend the same schools. And we go to the same hospitals. They breathe the same air given freely by God the Almighty. It is for these reasons that as religious leaders, we are deeply pained and regret the unfolding, sprawling incidences of violence linked to the nationwide protest called by the Azimio One Kenya coalition. It is unfortunate that these unsettling events are taking place just at the onset of the holy month of Ramadan, marked in the Islamic calendar for prayers and fasting.
The incidents in Kibra have been widely condemned by both local and international organizations, with the African Union expressing concerns about the violence witnessed during the country's anti-government protests on Monday.
Gharama ya chakula imepanda, watoto wahitaji kusoma, maradhi ya watu ni nyingi watakakutibiwa, na juu yake pia tukose amani inakuwa ni shida juu ya shida. Na nawaomba watu wa Kibra, Waislamu, hasatan vijana, msifeli katika mtihani huu mkashindwa kudhihirisha subra. Wakawatumia wasiokuwa nyinyi ambao hawaishi hapa, wakawaharibia mali yenu na kuwaharibia maisha yenu na kuwaulia watu wenu.
Shida haiko katika kupigana, tunaangalia hasara ya kupigana. Msikiti imeunguzwa, kanisa imeunguzwa, mali zimepotea. Na nafsi pia imepotea. Kuna kijana anaenda kuzikwa sasa hivi, alipigwa risasi jana usiku. Na vijana wawili walipigwa risasi pande ya kule Lindi. Hiyo ni hasara ya nafsi kwa sababu ya siasa.
For the Muslim Insight, my name is Aban Shihemi.
Thank you for that. Now on our next story, the Jamia Mosque Nairobi has launched a dry iftar program to support the needy during the holy month of Ramadan. The program is aimed at distributing food packs to over 1,000 families in Nairobi and its environs. Jamia Mosque Nairobi is embracing the spirit of generosity and compassion by distributing the food items that will last a family for at least 3 weeks during the month of Ramadan. The program, which is in its third year, will see families receive food items such as rice, wheat flour, sugar, cooking oil and dates, among others.
Alhamdulillah amecheza part kubwa sana, manake kulikuwa na ukame, pia uchumi, maisha imepanda. Alhamdulillah, na hii riziki ambayo kwamba tunapokea ita sustain inshallah Ramadhani.
The initiative is a collaborative effort between mosque management and members of Muslim community who have contributed generously to support the program. The food packs are distributed through various channels, including local mosque, community centers, and directly to families in need.
The package this time is we have rice, we have maize flour, we have wheat flour, we have sugar, we have beans, we have oil, and we have a bit of salt and a bit of tea leaves. It is designed to at least keep a family of 3 to 5 for about 3 to 4 weeks, depending on quantities.
Speaking during the distribution exercise at Adams Mosque in Nairobi, targeting residents of Kibra, Kawangware, Riruta and Amboseli, the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamia Mosque Nairobi, Said Abdullah, emphasized the importance of supporting the needy during Ramadan. He said the program will make a difference in the life of those who need it most.
The Jamia Dry Food Drive started around the COVID years. We realized that we could take dry food packages right to the households. At that time, the issues of congregation and all that were forbidden. And we decided, why don't we do a campaign for dry foodstuffs. So basically around 2020 we started this, our third year, and it's been a success. We normally target about 1,000 families, 1,000, 2,000 families in Nairobi, but with increasing funds, we also go outside Nairobi areas.
The dry iftar program has been well received by the beneficiaries, who express their gratitude for the support provided by the Jamia Mosque Nairobi.
Mimi wa kusilimu, nashukuru sana sababu ya kupata iftari, ama single mother. Nashukuru sababu ya iftari, wenye kutoa iftari, Mwenyezi Mungu awe wa kuwazidishia kuepusha na maradhi.
They called on other Muslims to help the needy, especially during this month of Ramadan, by providing them with essential items that will ensure they break the fast with dignity.
And we want to thank the sponsors and the donors who made it possible for us to have our Ramadan and enjoy and have the time to concentrate and focus on our worship.
Jamia Mosque Nairobi has urged the members of the Muslim community to continue supporting the program by donating funds to help purchase essential items.
I call upon all people of goodwill to join us in this noble cause. Our pay bill number is 150770 and our account name is Iftar 2023. A package will go for an average of 5,000 shillings, but you can contribute as much as possible, and we appreciate all the contributions so far.
The Jamia Mosque Nairobi's dry iftar program targets to feed over 1,000 needy families in Nairobi and its environs. Hundreds of Muslims have received their dry food donated by Jamia Mosque Nairobi. Due to hard times and economy in the country, this food is going to help Muslims living in urban slums in Nairobi to have their iftar in this holy month of Ramadan. Reporting for Muslim Insight, my name is Abdurrahman Gaddafi Yasin.
Thank you for that, Gaddafi. Now moving on, the Saudi Arabian Embassy in Kenya has launched an iftar program that will see Muslims break their fast at Jamia Mosque Nairobi. The Saudi's embassy initiative to provide iftar meals for Muslims has been well received by the Muslim community, particularly by the Rivati Muslims. Speaking during the official launch of the iftar program at Jamia Mosque Nairobi Multipurpose Hall, Deputy Chairperson Professor Abdul Latif Isaji said the program will help strengthen the relationship that has existed for a long time between Jamia and the Saudi Embassy in Kenya.
According to the Saudi Arabian Embassy in Kenya said, it is the responsibility of Muslims to take care of each other, particularly during Ramadan. They said the iftar program will provide support and show solidarity with the Muslim community in Kenya.
وجميعنا يجتهد في العطاء تطبيقا لقول رسولنا الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Ramadan is a month of helping each other, and it is an honor for me to launch this iftar program here. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, through the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, is holding the iftar program in 40 other countries worldwide. We are thankful to the leaders of this country and also to the Jamia Mosque Committee for their partnership in this program.
1444 الذي تقوم عليه مشكورة وزارة الشؤون الإسلامية والدعوة والإرشاد في المملكة العربية السعودية في عدد من الدول في مختلف قارات العالم.
Speaking during the launch of iftar program at Jamia Mosque Multipurpose Hall, Jamia Mosque Committee Deputy Chairman Professor Abdul Latif Isaji said the gesture by the Saudi Embassy has been a welcome reminder of the spirit of the unity and generosity that characterize the holy month of Ramadan.
This is not new to us, the relationship that we have had with Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We feel very honored that we are actually cooperating, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَعَاوَنْ عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. And we are here on behalf of the Muslims of Kenya to actually receive the gift from you. One is actually, inshallah, the embassy here in Kenya will be, inshallah, giving iftar through Jamia, inshallah, every day.
The Saudi Arabian Embassy's initiative to provide iftar meals for Muslims in Kenya has highlighted the importance of supporting one another during Ramadan, particularly for those who may be facing additional challenges.
Now, Kenyans have been urged to be careful with spreading false information that could incite violence, particularly in the context of the opposition-led demonstration. This warning comes after violence was witnessed in Kibra on Monday night, with false information on social media claiming the violence was between two communities. Those who posted the misleading information have since apologized for the harm they have caused.
Tuache kueneza uvumi. Unajua kuna uvumi inaenezwa ndio chuki na uchochezi iendelee katika jamii. Kuna uchochezi ambao kwamba kuna watu ambao kwamba wako kwenye social media wanafanya uchochezi ya kufanya kabila mbili zigombane. Wanataka kabila ya Wajaluo na Wanubi wagombane. Na sisi tunakataa. Tunasema hatutagombana. Sisi kuna viongozi wa Wajaluo na kuna viongozi wa Wanubi. Tunakataa, hakuna vita itatokea.
People on social media, netizens should be very, very cautious, and they should really measure and be considerate of what they are posting online. Because if there are people, if they have numbers, if they have a big following, whatever they are going to post is going to influence what their followers are going to do. So if they're going to spread, for example, hateful tweets or posts, definitely the people who are following them and who maybe are aligned to their political side will take action on that.
Now on to Garissa County, where the Governor Nadia Osman has called for affirmative action on lowering entry grades for local students in teaching colleges. Speaking at the Farmers Training College during the launch of the bursary program in Garissa County, the Governor said that leaders from Garissa will present a formal request to the Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu requesting an affirmative action for lowering the minimum entry grade for students pursuing teaching courses from C-plane to D+, that will help boost education sector in the region that lacks enough local teachers and schools.
Governor Nadia Osman said that the lack of teachers was having a negative impact on the education sector in the region, since there are not enough local teachers in schools, with non-local teachers also fleeing the region citing insecurity.
MTC College in Garissa, pia we will be having a special arrangement with you. Tutakuja kwenu ili to sign an MOU to train our girls and boys for the courses here. Kama ni nursing, kama ni community health, whatever. We need to make use of this facility, which is at our midst, and we need to feel that we are getting the required advantage from this college.
The Garissa Teachers Training College, which currently has a total number of 79 students, has been struggling to stay afloat as a result of the small number of students, majority of whom are non-locals.
The only training college for teaching that we have in this county and indeed in this region is about to close because of the high grade required. Not necessarily high, but the current grade required of C-plane. Hatupati vijana wetu ama wasichana wetu ambao who are interested or who are able to match that. So mimi leo nataka niombe rasmi waziri wa education kwamba we will come to you with a request for affirmative action in that regard to reduce the minimum entry for the college here to be D+.
The governor said that the current C-plane entry grade was too high for students in the area, noting that it was having a direct impact on the education sector in the region.
Bursary, my first tranche of this bursary is Kenya shillings 100 million, mainly targeting universities. Universities, and again mainly targeting courses that which we require in this county. Courses such as medicine or medical healthcare services, courses such as engineering and technical training. Those are the kind of courses I will want to be supporting, and my Ministry of Education and the MCAs will work towards that.
He was speaking at the Farmers Training College during the launch of the 100 million Kenya shillings Garissa County bursary program. The bursary program is mainly targeting students in universities, colleges and tertiary institutions and partly secondary schools.
The attempt of this bursary is to bring back the drought-affected families to the schools. All the children, naomba wazazi wale watoto wao wote ambao wameathirika na drought warudishwe shuleni. Hapo karibuni juzi we gave out some food for the schools. We launched a very heavy school feeding program in the same line to mitigate the risk of the drought. We don't want to be hearing kwamba skuli fulani imefungwa kwa ajili ya kukosa wanafunzi. Hakuna sababu tena. Ikiwa ni chakula tutapeana. Ikiwa ni fees will pay.
The governor said the focus is on students taking courses such as medical healthcare services, education, engineering and technical courses which the country requires and where they have a shortage in. In 2019, the Education Ministry and the TSC withdrew a circular that lowered the entry requirement for P1 teacher training colleges to D+. Salma Salim, The Muslim Insight.
Thank you for that. Now moving on, Muslim leaders from Uasin Gishu County have called upon the Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga to postpone the nationwide demonstrations to give way for the Muslim faithfuls to continue with their fasting. Speaking in Eldoret during the iftar distribution to imams from Uasin Gishu County, the leaders urged the opposition leader and his brigaders to suspend the demos for 30 days, saying that it will affect their program. However, they added they are ready to hold mediation talks between President William Ruto and the opposition leader Raila Odinga to save the country from the economic dilemma.
Na ni jukumu ya viongozi wetu waje pamoja ili wajue kwamba ni mbinu gani ama ni jambo gani watafanya mpaka wahakikisha kwamba uchumi wa Kenya umekuwa mzuri kama siku za mwanzo. Kwa hivyo ningemwomba mzee wetu mzee Raila na kiongozi wetu ambaye kwamba ni rais wetu William Ruto wakubaliane, waje pamoja, wazungumze ili waboreshe maisha ya Wakenya. Lakini kama huyu atashikilia msimamo wake kwamba lazima nifanye maandamano na huyu anasema wacha wafanya yao, sisi tunaendelea na kazi zetu, wanaodidimia na kuangamia ni wananchi wa Kenya na vilivyomo ndani ya Kenya pia vinazidi kufanya nini? Kuangamia. Kwa hivyo ombi letu kama maimamu na viongozi wa dini ya Kiislamu, tunawaombeni viongozi wa pande zote mbili, upinzani walioko katika serikali, waje pamoja wazungumze ili wapate kusuluhisha matatizo ambayo kwamba yanakumba Kenya.
Now that brings us to the last part of our news segment, but we're coming back after a short break with the review of today's Friday Bulletin. Joining me in studio will be Mr. Musa Mwale, so do not go anywhere.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ويوم نسير الجبال وترى الأرض بارزة وحشرناهم فلم نغادر منهم أحدا وعرضوا على ربك صفا لقد جئتمونا كما خلقناكم أول مرة بل زعمتم أن لن نجعل لكم موعدا.
Uislamu ni dini yenye mpangilio ulio kamili na taratibu zake humpa fursa kila mja
kuifahamu na kuelewa.
Muislamu yoyote lazima achukue jukumu la kuifahamu dini yake, kuanzia kwenye shahada, ashhadu, nakiri kwa moyo,
kisha usafi wa kimwili.
Hapo ndipo huanza safari ya kumwabudu Mola wake.
Usikose kujiunga nasi kila siku ya Jumamosi live kwenye kipindi Ufahamu Uislamu, ili ujifunze mengi usiyojua kutoka Horizon TV.
On the next episode,
ikiwa swala ndio Mwenyezi Mungu anasema ndio inatutofautisha na wasokuwa Waislamu, wale jamaa wanafunga pia, wana saumu zao za maajabu. Saumu pengine ulikuwa kila mchele kilo moja wala kota, kikombe cha chai cha maziwa wanywa sturungi nusu, hiyo ndio saumu yao. Wana baadhi ya saumu wanafunga ambao kwamba hatuielewi.
It is during the month of Ramadan that the noble Quran was revealed.
Jamia Mosque Nairobi invites you to its 12th annual Quran competition, set to take place on 18th February to 2nd April, with different mosques hosting this year's competition. In zonal level, first set will be conducted on 18th February at Masjid Nur South Sing, 25th February at Baitul Mal, 4th March at Al-Aqsa Komarok, 11th March at Masjid Rahma Biafra, and 18th March at Masjid Farouk Pumwani. Girls competition will be on 25th and 26th March at the Multipurpose Hall, Jamia Mosque Nairobi, with the boys final conducted at Jamia Mosque on Thursday 30th March and Saturday 1st April, where the winner will thereby be awarded on Sunday 2nd April. The competition has the following categories: 5 ajza, 10 ajza, 15 ajza and 30 ajza. This time it's bigger and better.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ndugu wapenzi watazamaji wa Horizon TV, ni mimi ndugu yenu Abdurrahman Othman. Kiwa kweli wanipenda kuliko kila kitu, basi yale mapenzi haijakamilika mpaka unipende kuliko hata nafsi yako. Alkhair, kullu alkhair fi ittiba'i an-nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ibn Battah asema tupo katika zama ambazo annas yastahziun, wanafanya istihza na wanajifakharisha nafsi zao. Kwa nini? Kwa kumkhalifu mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Tunawakaribisha katika kipindi chetu kwa jina la Revive the Sunna, au kuhuisha sunna za mtume wetu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
Enyi mlioamini, munapoitwa kuhudhuria swala ya Ijumaa, fanyeni haraka kuikimbilia, muache biashara zenu, hilo ni bora ikiwa mwelewa.
Isikilizeni kwa umakinifu khutba ya Ijumaa
ili uzidi kujenga imani yako na kupata faida nyingi ya siku hii.
Coming to you every Friday from Jamia Mosque Nairobi.
Live on
Horizon TV.
Quote of the day. Imam Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i said, "Whenever I voice my opinion or formulate a principle where something contrary to my view exists, on the authority of the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, then the correct view is what the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, has said, and it is my view."
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Horizon TV. We're back with today's review of the Friday Bulletin, and I'm not alone in studio. I'm joined by Mr. Musa Mwale. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you this morning?
Alhamdulillah, I'm okay.
How's Ramadan going so far?
Ramadan, so far so good, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
The first 10 days are just ending.
Yes.
I think tomorrow.
Yes.
I hope we've made maximum use of the 10 days.
I really do hope so as well. So today's Friday Bulletin, we're looking at, it's been a very hectic week, if I can say that. And just to, you know, see when I'm looking at the front page of today's Friday Bulletin, we're talking about the Kibra arson attack, which unfortunately was very shocking and very surprising at a time where the country is having political tensions, if I may say. What would you say about this, Mr. Musa?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that people exercising the right, as it's right in the Constitution, the right to demonstrate, the right to picket, that such a right is also causing people harm.
Yes.
And therefore, it's unfortunate that I think some elements within the wider space of politics tried to manipulate the situation so that it turns ethnic and religious to just maybe prove a certain point. However, that failed, although of course it failed with some costs, some casualties. You know, I'm told a young man died and several were injured, but also property destroyed, especially the mosque and the church.
Yes.
Fortunately, our religious leaders from both divide were able to rush to the ground and calm the situation.
Yes.
And just assure people that whatever happened had nothing to do with religion.
Yes.
And neither did it have anything to do with ethnic.
Yes.
So as people go out there to try to maybe practice some of these rights, they should also be aware that there are criminal elements that might want to use that occasion to cause mayhem and to cause harm to other people, and maybe even loot properties of other people. So I think for us as a country, we need to really sit back and reflect. And unfortunately, we have a very, very, very selfish political leadership on both divide, whether they are in opposition or whether they are in government. They are all driven by self-interest, and they don't care about the interest of Mwananchi. If they did, they would be sitting together and talking. And the of each party, you know, why are you making noise? What is it? What can we do together? But they all seem to have a lot of egos. And you know, you remember some have even claimed that this is a private company.
Yes.
And therefore, If you don't have shares, if you're not a shareholder, you are left out. So how do you then take a national cake that everyone has labored for and privatize it and expect that people will just sit there and watch you do that?
Yes.
So some of these sentiments are causing a lot of tension within the community, within the Kenyan family, and such irresponsible remarks and irresponsible leadership should not be entertained in this country. So basically, I think it's very unfortunate that we have that kind of leadership. And as I say, it's across the political divide. You cannot apportion it to any one political affiliation. Right now, we also see some even members of parliament, or quite a number of them, thinking of raising their PACs. And believe me, they will vote for that. All of them, they will unite and vote for that if it's about increasing their PACs. But it's about lowering the cost of living or taxes, then they get divided.
Yes, and in something you've talked about, selfishness, is something to realize that people need to understand that Kenya is definitely bigger than any individual. Kenya is bigger than you and I. And to talk about that, it's some of the leaders who visited, because we had some Muslim, not Muslim, but interreligious leaders who visited Kibra. And one of the sentiments that was shared was, at the end of the day, you're going to go out, you're going to exercise your democratic right. But unfortunately, we have thugs and we have goons in the midst of all this, causing a lot of havoc and confusion. And you realize that if you're struggling, you're going to probably go out there and cause a lot of havoc. You'd realize that at the end of the day, you're going to go back to your house. It's not going to add up to anything. You're going to sleep hungry. Well, the people that you're actually fighting for are going to be comfortable in their homes. What would you tell the Kenyan people?
That's a very, very good analysis. By the way, I keep on telling people, let's not fight other people's wars.
Yeah.
Yes, we are there trying to support whichever political divide that we belong to. But at the end of the day, these politicians and the kind of politicians that we have today, unfortunately, they're just about their personal selfish interest.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the leadership. It has nothing to do with the common mwananchi. All these tags of hustlers and all that are just tags to help them get to power, or help them get certain ends, but then at the end of the day, they don't care. So even for those young people who are participating in some of these activities, they have to ask themselves, what is in it for me? At the end of the day, the leaders will sit, and some of them, by the way, people should know this, that it's also all about their properties and all about their businesses. So they are lacing that with nice tags, but we all know, people who have been here longer and analyzed the politics in this country, it's all about them. So the young people who are participating in some of these things should be worried and should ask themselves, rather than direct your energy negatively, they would rather, go look for something to do, more productive, and engage, and let them stop being manipulated. Like those ones who were lied to that they would invade the farm belonging to the family of the former president. They were misled, they were captured on camera, and some of them, or quite a number of them, will have to carry the cross on their own. They'll be taken to court, they'll be charged, and the politicians who incited them will not be there to help them. So those ones who will be assisted will be lucky, maybe you're given cash bail or whatever, it's paid for you. But at the end of the day, when the matter progresses and you have to be imprisoned for any reason, and even the police officers who are, disrupting and injuring, maybe peaceful demonstrators, they will be liable, even if it's not. We have seen some of them have really been captured on camera, and they look so bitter, and they are actually aiming not to disperse but to kill. So once the law catches up with you, you will be on your own. Your employer will not be there.
That's true.
The police service will not be there. You will be on your own. And even if you're not caught here, there's also the hereafter.
Yes.
And God is there to judge all of us. So we should, you know, we say that whatever position you are in is an amana.
It is true.
And you should exercise it in fear of God the Almighty, and not the human beings that supervise us or give us those positions.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe just to also continue commenting on this, while we want to, of course, applaud the initiative of a number of religious leaders, but I also want to state that a bigger percentage of the religious leadership in this country has also let us down.
Yes.
They have been compromised, and they keep on taking sides. And then that leaves the country with no leadership in terms of an arbiter who can come in and arbitrate situations like now, what is happening. So few of them will have the moral authority to actually be out there to mediate such a kind of process. You realize that maybe it might take outsiders to come and mediate in this kind of conflict, because quite a number of us have been compromised. We have taken sides.
Yeah.
So how do we then arbitrate? Because we have already taken sides. The leadership has taken both in terms of even the judicial system, you know, that is supposed to be independent. The parliament that is supposed to be independent. All these institutions have been compromised one way or another. So they cannot really give us the kind of leadership that we are looking for, unfortunately.
Yes. And now to move on to the next story, we're seeing that this was actually earlier this week. Saudi Arabia has launched a free iftar program for basically new Muslims, so they're able to come here and eat and just come in the spirit of brotherhood and giving. So they're able not just to learn about Islam but to open their fast together, which is a very nice initiative, don't you think?
Yeah, it's quite encouraging. I know the Saudi government has been a very strong partner with or ally of Jamia Mosque.
Yes.
And they have in the past done quite a lot together. Jamia Mosque, of course, has continued with its iftar program. This is quite good, because what happens with reverts or Muslims who join Islam much later is that they find themselves very lonely. They do not have families where they're coming from, because some of them are even sent away, you know, so they have no families. And in any case, the new family that they have is the Muslims.
That is true.
So when they are fasting alone and breaking the fast alone, they actually might even not be aware of some of the things that are supposed to be done.
Yes.
When coming here, fast, breaking the fast with other Muslims is very encouraging.
Yeah.
It enhances that brotherhood and sisterhood. It gives them this new family that they're supposed to embrace. And then what we need to encourage is that this should continue, not just in Ramadan, but also even after Ramadan.
Yes.
That we need to, I know some have a program called Adopt a Revert.
Yeah. So
that you have this revert coming to your family, come to your home, celebrating with you for iftar and even after, during Eid, because some of them have nowhere to go. They will break the fast alone, they'll go to the masjid, pray, and come back and stay alone. And especially for men, it's okay, because we make a lot of friends very easily. But for the sisters, it becomes very difficult. They have nowhere to go. I have spoken to quite a number of them, and they tell you that we find ourselves all alone. We have nowhere to go. We have no one to go to, so we end up celebrating alone. Yeah.
Now we're moving on to the second page of today's Friday Bulletin. We're seeing the winners of the Jamia Girls Quran competition being awarded. And this was actually this was the 12th annual Quran competition, which had people participate from different zones. And we know that today it will be the awarding of the boys Quran competition. What do you think about such program, Mr. Musa?
As mentioned much earlier, the memorization of Quran is key within the Muslim community. You know, in the work of enemies of Islam trying to ban, literally to ban the physical book, mutilated, and to some extent some have even gone ahead and even published, I hear, I've not seen it myself, but I hear that some have even gone ahead to publish a new Quran. So it's very crucial that our youngsters memorize the Quran, so that tomorrow when something new comes, then they're able to notice, they're able to know that this is not the original book that was revealed. It's quite encouraging to see young girls, you know, winning the competition. I know Jamia has tried its best. It has not covered the entire Nairobi, but at least it covered quite a bit of Nairobi. And we encourage other institutions, other mosques and other establishments to also have similar competitions elsewhere, so that we have as many young people as possible memorizing the Quran and appreciating the Quran, rather than just having it as a book among other books. Yes.
Just to remind viewers that today will be the announcement of, you know, the winners. Who, mashallah, it was 5 zones, a lot of competitors. And today they get to know who won what place. And inshallah, that's going to be taking place here live at Jamia Mosque, and we'll be able to bring you live on footage from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now moving on to, is it the 5th page of today's Friday Bulletin. And I know before, for those who are wondering where we've skipped, it's just a couple of stories there that when you get your copy today, you'll be able to read into details. It's all about Ramadan, Quran, and Taqwa. And we're seeing on the 5th page, we're seeing the HorizonTV Ramadan quiz show is entering a semi-final stage. And for those who also, Mr. Musa, when we talk about Quran competitions, we're having this Ramadan quiz show. It's basically to test the knowledge of, you know, young Muslims, mashallah. And it's a very, very fun show for anyone who's viewed it, mashallah. It's very educational, you know, it keeps you on toes and, you know, also teaches you a lot. Now, moving on to the 6th page of the Friday Bulletin. Mr. Musa, we're seeing Qatar is having Qatar's charity organization is distributing food baskets that will be benefiting widows and persons with disabilities. And we're seeing in the month of Ramadan there are a lot of organizations that are coming out and they're able to, you know, distribute, especially for needy families who are not able to, you know, sustain themselves during this holy month. What would you say the spirit of giving for anyone who's watching?
Well, in the wake of the hard times that we are all passing through, and the drought and the floods now that really do not seem to favor the hard times that quite a number of our community has gone through. This is really welcome that an institution like Qatar Charity, I know Qatar Charity has for a very long time done a lot of relief work in the country, especially when it comes to food, when it comes to boreholes. And this is quite encouraging that at this moment they are also thinking of especially the widows and people living with disabilities who really, because of their situation, with the challenges they have, they face more hardship even in terms of earning income to sustain themselves. So this is quite encouraging, and we would want to encourage more institutions, of course, to do this all over the country, not just in specific places. And also reach out to many other vulnerable members of society, inshallah.
Yes. And also the next story is for anyone who's listening, SUPKEM has just announced that the Hajj, the deadline for applying for the Hajj is on May 20th. And the reason they're saying this is because Hajj will take place on 26th June 2023. And for people who, inshallah, are thinking of going for Hajj, they should be able to, this is the moment, start applying right now, because, you know, getting the visa and the hustle, they're trying to prevent that for every person who is going for Hajj this year. So they've said the deadline will be May 20th. Mr. Musa, do you ever see some of the issues that people face when applying for Hajj?
Yeah, the challenge is, this is good because the challenge quite a number of people face is the last minute rush.
Yeah.
And, you know, you realize that maybe you want to go with your spouse, and last minute you do not have a marriage certificate, and you have to rush to get a marriage certificate. And sometimes in that course of rushing, you end up, you know, getting wrong papers or fake documents. So the inoculations that people are supposed to have, people are supposed to do early, because you cannot, if you have 5 days too, you cannot go and get inoculated, you know, and therefore you people end up, they're going for Hajj, Ibadah, but they end up getting, you know, inoculation certificates that are not valid. So basically it's good for people to start preparing early, get all the requirements done much earlier, have all the paperwork in place, so that when it comes to that last minute, you are not rushing and you don't miss out. Some have even missed out, yet they have actually paid the agents. And to maybe just get to the refund becomes a little bit difficult, because this money, once you pay the agent here, they pay the agent in Saudi Arabia, they book the hotel and all that. So when you ask for your refund, it's already like been spent, although you have not really spent your money. People should prepare themselves early, and also, of course, I know the Kenya Council of Imams does a lot of classes, holds a lot of classes for there would be Hujjaj. So literally, let's encourage people to have early preparation. Yes.
We're seeing also on the 6th page of the Friday Bulletin, we're seeing Horizon TV has marked its 6 years since its launch. And Mr. Musa, this is always, it's a time to also remember the people who have enabled us to reach here. And we wouldn't be here if, first of all, it wasn't for the people who, you know, built this TV station, but as well to everyone who watches it, because without the viewers, we would not even be here having this show with you today. So what would you say about Horizon TV, especially as a dawah, you know, program?
It has come a long way, and it has, first of all, you have to congratulate Horizon TV. For what they have done for the community, the educating the community, informing the community. Initially, we did not have our own media houses, and therefore, all the reports we were getting, or the Muslims were getting, were actually biased reports. And unfortunately, against Islam, or misleading certain facts about Islam. So this is quite encouraging. We want Horizon TV to grow further. I went to a rural place in Bungoma, and I found, you know, people I grew up with, and they were telling me that they saw me on TV, and I'm like, how? And there was this Islamic channel that is, I didn't know that all the way up to those interior sides of Bungoma, that people actually can access Horizon TV. So we encourage them, we want them to grow and become a little bit much more bigger institution than it is now. But they've come a long way. 6 years has been good. And we have benefited. Of course, to the viewers, thanks again for the support that they have given the TV station. And anyone else, of course, who has contributed to, in one way or another, in contributed to the growth and development of Horizon TV.
We're moving on to the last story of today, and we're going to talk about burial grounds in Murang'a County, where Muslims have come out and have said they do have no space for burying them, their deceased. What they have to do is they have to go all the way to Thika town, which is very sad. And when we look at this, Mr. Musa, we're seeing that the former, Governor Wangi Wairia had already allocated them land, but unfortunately, that did not pull through with the current Governor Kenyatta, and they're urging him, now to allocate them land where they'll be able to bury their loved ones. What would you say? Because this is something that it's not just in Murang'a County that we're seeing. It's something that goes on where, like, land is not used for what it's supposed to be used, or allocated land is basically taken back.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. It's actually all over. Nairobi, you know that, we have less burial ground, but also I think as a community we also have to blame ourselves, because we do not plan, we do not think ahead. Because, for example, just the other day, land in Ruai and Njiru was very cheap, very, very cheap. What stopped the community from acquiring land? It's not very far. If, for example, we were to have 50 acres for as a burial ground, at that particular time, maybe 10 years or 15 years ago, that land would have cost us maybe 1 million shillings.
Yeah.
The community could afford, just one member of the community could afford to do that.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have, of course, it's our right as taxpayers, as people who live in this country, to get allocated land. But it's also our responsibility to go look for that land.
Yeah.
Many years, like 20 years ago, we were doing a program in Garissa on civic education. And I asked the leadership there, the Muslim leadership, why are you not going to government to ask them to allocate you land that is just less than a kilometer or a kilometer away from the CBD?
Yeah.
Yet other religious communities were asking for that land. They were being allocated, and when you go there, you find that they have bigger chunks of land. Yet that is a predominantly Islamic area or Muslim area. So you will realize that now, I'm sure 20 years from now, that place that I had proposed for people to request land to be allocated is now the CBD. Right now, it's the CBD.
Yeah.
So what stops us from asking for land when we are supposed to ask for land?
Yeah.
And what stops us from pursuing a land that has been allocated to us? Because there are a lot of idle land that was allocated to the Muslims, but because there was no one to follow it up so that we acquire it now legally, get the proper documents. Several years pass, it's grabbed by someone, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Then we start crying and saying, oh, we do not have this. So, yes, I sympathize with the Murang'a people, and just like any other Muslim community all over the country, they deserve to be given land, to be allocated land.
Yes.
By the county government, because it's there. But also, as a community, we need to be more proactive than just being reactive. As a community, we have also enough resources to acquire some of these things in good time before, of course, the value of the land goes beyond the means that we can afford.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on that, just as you explained, what would you tell Muslim leaders, especially to them, when it comes to, as much as whatever position you're given, whether it's CS, whether it's member of parliament, whether it's, governor, what would you tell Muslim leaders when it comes to using their position to help their fellow brothers and sisters?
I've said here before, it is an amana. If a Muslim is blessed to join, to have a certain leadership, to be in a position of leadership, anywhere, regardless, whether it's within the Muslim community or within the larger community of a given area or a country, it's an amana. And they should try to help and champion the interest of the community. I think the interest of the community, for me, comes first. As a community, worker who has worked within the community. The interest of the community come first.
Yes.
And fortunately, quite a number of them go there and they forget that they are members of the community. They forget the interest of the community and they start championing for either their own personal interest or for the general interest, forgetting that, you know, as a community, we are unique. We have very specific interests that have to be catered for. You know, land for madrasa, land for masjid, land for our own schools. I mean, space for burial and all that. So I think as a community, we need to stop being selfish.
Yes.
We need to champion the interest of our community first, then of course go to fulfill the call of the whoever has engaged us.
Yes. And just to stop there, I'm being informed that we are getting live feedback from Jamia Mosque Nairobi, where the final Quran competition winners are going to be announced later on today at exactly 10 a.m. And we have a reporter, Mustafa Qasim, live. So, Mustafa, take it.
Naam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Qasim Mustafa, coming you live from Jamia Mosque Nairobi. This is the 12th annual Quran competition that have been organized by Jamia Mosque here at Nairobi, and we've experienced a large number of participants who've participated in this year's competition. Earlier on, we had a competition that happened in different zones. We had 5 zones, that is in Masjid Nur South Sea. We also had Al-Aqsa Komarok, we had Baitul Mal, we also had Al-Farouk, Pumwani, and Biafra. So this week we had the finals, which was conducted on Tuesday and Wednesday, and today will be the day where those who participated will be awarded.
Tell us, who is the chief guest today for the announcement of the finals? Mustafa Qasim, can you hear me? Mustafa Qasim, just want to repeat in case you have not heard me.
Yes, the participants will be awarded today at around 10, some few minutes from now, and the chief guest will be the ambassador of Saudi Arabia, Honorable Khalif Abdallah, who will be here at around 10 a.m. So we are expecting him to grace this event today.
Thank you so much for that. Can you tell us the atmosphere down there? Can you tell us if the guests have started arriving, if the participants have also started arriving? What can you tell us, Mustafa?
Yeah, of course, there have been so very many participants. There have been 158 participants in different. There have been 158 participants in boys and 88 participants in girls. So we saw the participation last week for girls where Munira Abdul Fattah from Markaz Musab Educational Center emerged the best with 99.3%. So last year we also saw the student from Musab Educational Center, who is Hamza Muhammad, who won the last year's boys competition, emerging position 1. So this year we are all waiting to see who will carry the day, inshallah.
And just to remind people who are viewing this, this is going to be taking place from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Isn't that correct, Mustafa? Should we expect the event to start?
Yes, this event will start exactly 10 a.m. where so very many people are expected to be here. Very many guests will be here, students, parents, among other people who will be here to witness the beautiful recitation of the Quran from different people, different students, different Qari, and we hope it will be a very great event today, inshallah.
Inshallah. And Mustafa has been the one who has been covering the event from the beginning. Mustafa, in your opinion, what could you tell us about what you have witnessed through the whole Quran competition?
Indeed, this competition have been very stiff, very stiff. Remember, in the past years, competition have been being conducted here at Jamia Mosque. But this year's competition was conducted in different mosques, bringing together different schools from different zones where very many students participated. And remember, in these zones, we only had 3 students who were being taken from different categories. This is the 5 ajza, 10 ajza, 15 ajza, and 30 ajza. So we saw a very big number of students who participated, and actually, after those knockout stage, which was done at zone, we only had 60 students who have participated in this final competition. These 60 students, we have 15 students from category 1, which is 5 ajza, 15 students for 10 ajza, 15 students also in 20 in 15 and 15 in full mashaf. So inshallah, we are hoping that the winner will emerge, because it have been all the top cream, those students who are brave, those students who emerged the winners at the zonal levels.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, for that. We'll be, once again, to remind the viewers, we'll be bringing you live coverage from Jamia Mosque Nairobi from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And Mr. Musa, I know we were talking about basically leadership, Muslim leaders, and you've emphasized about basically realizing that the position you have is an amana. Mr. Musa, as you've seen, as my colleague Mustafa has been telling us, it's been a very stiff competition. And mashallah, you know, you've been one person who's come on this show and you've talked about the importance of having such competitions, especially for young people. Are you excited for it today?
Quite excited, and I want to tell everyone that everyone who participated won.
Yes.
It's just that we had to get a few,
yes,
to continue competing further.
Yes.
But everyone won, because just by the fact that you are actually selected to participate in the competition, it was a big honor. And we want to encourage young people, and as I said, other institutions to have more of these events. And also maybe institutions to start memorization programs,
yes,
within their masjid, within their madrasas, and all that.
Yes,
you know, because people want to, in the today's world, kids want to memorize Quran, but there's also school, and there are other things, so it becomes very difficult. We end up really burdening a child, because they come from school at 6. They go to madrasa, you know, and they come out later, and there is homework to be done and all that. So we encourage institutions to have this. We have an example in Parklands, where I know some of my friends, the kids go to school, but in the evening, rather than come home, they're in a boarding facility in a madrasa, where now they live there and they memorize the Quran.
MashaAllah. So
such a institution should really be set up to encourage more hufad in terms of Quran.
It is very, very true. And then I guess that brings us to the end of our show today. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Musa, for joining us.
Karibu.
It's always a nice conversation that we have here in studio. And to our dear viewer, thank you so much for staying with us here on Horizon TV. Once again, do not forget, we will be bringing you live coverage from Jamia Mosque Nairobi from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. My name is Nadia Osman, and my sign language interpreter was Ilhan Noor. And to everyone who was able to ensure that this show went on smoothly, thank you so much. Our gratitude extends to all of you. Once again, ma'as salam. Until next Friday, inshallah.
Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.